Staff Mark Meadows and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin for the very first time to talk the next corona relief bill. And across the Hill, with just a few weeks left until the August recess, top Republicans are working to negotiate their version of a bill that Senator Mitch McConnell signaled could be released sometime this week. But the president, he may be throwing a monkey wrench in the negotiations. NBC's Garrett Haake is on the Hill with the latest. Garrett, what's going on?
Well, Stephanie, before we can even get to that meeting between the White House emissaries and Democrats tonight, Republicans have to get on the same page themselves about what they want to see in their version of a coronavirus relief bill. And there are a couple of major sticking points between Senate Republicans and this administration. The administration has said they want to get a payroll tax cut into this bill. Even Republican senators say that's largely unhelpful. Payroll tax cut doesn't do anything for you if you're no longer on a payroll. They're very cool to that idea. Republican senators also want to see more money spent on testing, more money going to the CDC. The White House has said, let's hold off on that for now. Let's get the money that was already allocated spent. These are just Republican problems. These are just Republicans not on the same page. So before that meeting tonight, those same White House officials, Mark Meadows and Steve Mnuchin, are going to be on the Hill today, meeting with a couple of powerful Republican committee chairs in the morning, and then the entire Republican conference over their lunch. They need to figure out what they want as a party before they can even start negotiations with Democrats. This is going to be a messy process, Stephanie.
No doubt. Joining me now to discuss this process, somebody who is definitely in there fighting, Democratic Senator from the state of Massachusetts, Senator Elizabeth Warren. Senator Warren, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I want to start by talking about the Republican proposal. Despite thousands of small American businesses shutting their doors completely and massive layoffs at big companies, so there is no payroll tax to even cut for much of them. Republicans are now talking about a payroll tax cut, and they're discussing limiting money for testing and tying school funding to whether or not schools reopen. Will you vote for a bill that includes any of those measures?
You know, that just doesn't make any sense. To get this economy started again, we need to get the pandemic under control. And until we do that, Donald Trump can have as many tantrums as he wants to have, but people are not going to feel safe sending their children to school. They're not going to feel safe going into the workplace. They're not going to feel safe going into stores to shop. What we need to do is we need to start first with how to make people safe and make sure that we're protecting people's health. And that means lots of money into the same things. We need it in testing, we need it in contact tracing, and we need it in making sure that we've got plenty of personal protective equipment and that we are starting to ramp up to get ready for being able to distribute a vaccine if and when it becomes available. That's where we start, and then we move into what we need to do to help support the economy.
No, about $3 million.
You're out with a new op-ed laying out what you'd like to see in the next relief bill. It includes $175 billion to public schools and $50 billion to keep child care facilities open. What is the number one thing that you will fight tooth and nail for?
Child care. You know, child care in public schools. Understand this. Again, you want to get this economy started again, then you've got to be able, parents have got to know there is a safe place for their children to go. And that means we need to invest in child care and we need to invest in our public schools. And by the way, I should point out that Vice President Biden just today has come out with a strong plan to support child care across this nation. Understand, child care facilities for decades now have run on razor-thin margins. And because of the pandemic, many of them now are not only closed, they're saying they may never be able to reopen. If we don't support those child care centers and treat them like basic infrastructure in this economy, then that's going to mean millions of parents who simply cannot go back to work. We owe this to our children, and we owe this to the parents who want to be able to go back to work. So child care and money for public schools.
I want to talk about former Vice President Biden's plan that you just mentioned. This is sort of the third pillar in his Build Back Better agenda, where it's $775 billion, including 12 weeks of paid and plans to put 3 million Americans back to work in new care and education jobs. Now, at a top level, people say, this is a huge price tag. We can't pay for it. we create a foundation with this, can we thrive as a country?
You know, I think you're going exactly to the right point, Stephanie. We can't afford not to do this. Now, Vice President Biden,
People hanging in.
but the key is what it means for our families.
Y'all come out of your house. That's when we know it's safe to come out of the house.
If we say that we'll invest in roads and bridges so people will be able to get to work and goods and services to our economy, that's basic infrastructure, water and electricity. But if you want millions of parents to be able to go to work, they're going to need childcare, and that's what Joe Biden